It was a small village, full of green trees, soft winds, and a big blue sky. Birds sang in the morning, and the river made a sweet sound as it flowed. People in the village were simple and kind. In one small house, there lived a mother and her little son, Rowan. Rowan was a bright and happy boy. He loved his mother more than anything. His mother, Mira, was a hard-working woman. She did everything to give Rowan a good life. Even when she was tired, she smiled for him. Even when she had pain, she hid it and made him laugh. Rowan thought his mother was the strongest person in the world. One evening, as the sun painted the sky orange and pink, Rowan sat next to his mother. "Mother, why do you work so much?" he asked, looking at her tired hands. Mira smiled and touched his cheek. "Because I want you to have a good life, my son," she said gently. "One day, you will grow up, and I want to see you happy and strong." Rowan thought for a moment and said, "Mother, you always do everything for me. One day, I will do something big for you." Mira laughed softly and patted his head. "I don't need anything, my child. Your happiness is enough for me." But Rowan did not forget his words. His little heart made a promise to himself. One day, he would do something great for his mother. Time passed, and Rowan grew. He was kind, smart, and full of dreams. But life was not always easy. His mother fell sick. She tried to hide it, but Rowan noticed. Her face lost its color, and her hands shook when she worked. One night, as the stars twinkled in the sky, Rowan sat beside his mother. "Mother, you look tired. Are you okay?" he asked softly. Mira held his hand and smiled weakly. "I'm fine, my son. Don't worry about me." But Rowan did worry. He saw how hard she worked even when she was sick. His heart ached. He wanted to help her, but he was just a boy. What could he do? One day, when he came home from school, he saw his mother lying on the floor. His heart stopped. "Mother," he cried and ran to her. She opened her eyes slowly and tried to smile. "I'm just a little tired, my son," she whispered. Rowan hugged her tightly. "No, Mother, you are not fine. I will not let you suffer like this." That night, he did not sleep. He thought and thought. He had to do something. He had to keep his promise. But how? The next morning, he woke up early. He went to the village and asked people if they had work for him. He cleaned yards, carried water, and even helped in a small tea shop. Every coin he earned, he saved for his mother. Days passed. Rowan worked hard. His hands hurt. His feet ached. But he never stopped. He wanted his mother to rest. One evening, he came home with a small packet in his hand. "Mother, look," he said with excitement. Mira opened the packet. Inside, there was medicine and some food. She looked at Rowan with teary eyes. "My son, where did you get this?" Rowan smiled proudly. I worked, Mother. Now you don't have to worry. I will take care of you. Tears rolled down Mira's cheeks. She hugged Rowan tightly. Oh, my child. You are still so small, yet you have such a big heart. Rowan wiped her tears. Mother, you always take care of me. Now it's my turn. Mira looked at her son with pride and love. She held his hands and whispered, I am the luckiest mother in the world. From that day, Rowan worked even harder. He studied, he helped his mother, and he never gave up. Years later, he became a big man with a strong heart. He built a beautiful home for his mother. One day, as they sat in the garden, Mira held his hand and said, You kept your promise, my son. Rowan smiled. Because you are my world, Mother. Tears of joy filled Mira's eyes. She looked up at the sky and whispered, Thank you for giving me the best son in the world. This story teaches us something important. A mother's love is the greatest love in the world. And when a child loves his mother truly, he can do anything. Years passed, and Rowan's life changed. He was no longer the little boy who once ran barefoot in the village, dreaming of helping his mother. He had grown into a strong, successful man. His hard work had given them a better life. But one thing never changed his love for his mother. One morning, as the soft sunlight touched their home, Rowan sat beside Mira, holding her wrinkled hands. Mother, do you remember the days when you used to work so hard for me? He asked with a gentle smile. Mira laughed softly. How can I forget, my son? Those were the most precious days of my life. Seeing you grow, seeing you smile, that was my biggest happiness. Rowan looked into her eyes, filled with warmth and love. Now, it's my turn. Mother, I want to give you all the happiness in the world. Tell me, what is your biggest dream? Mira thought for a moment. She didn't dream of big houses or gold. She just wanted her son to be happy. But she also had a small wish, one she had kept in her heart for years. She held his hand and said, I have always wanted to see the ocean, my son. I have heard it is endless, just like a mother's love. Rowan's eyes lit up. Then we will go. I will take you to the ocean. Mother, a few days later, they set off on their journey. Mira's eyes sparkled like a child's as she looked out of the window, watching the trees and rivers pass by. She had never traveled far from their village. The world outside was new and beautiful. When they finally reached the ocean, Mira stepped onto the golden sand, feeling the soft touch beneath her feet. She looked at the endless blue water, stretching far beyond the horizon. The waves danced, whispering secrets to the shore. A tear rolled down her cheek. It's just like I imagined, she whispered. So vast, so deep, like a mother's heart. Rowan stood beside her, watching her smile. Mother, you gave me everything. Today, I just wanted to give you a little piece of happiness in return." Mira turned to him, her eyes filled with love. "My son, you have already given me the greatest gift, a son with a heart full of kindness." As the sun began to set, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink, Mira and Rowan sat together, watching the waves. The cool breeze carried memories of the past, moments of struggle, sacrifice, and unconditional love. Mira held Rowan's hand tightly. "Life is like this ocean, my son. It has storms and waves, but if we have love in our hearts, we can face anything." Rowan smiled, resting his head on her shoulder. "And a mother's love is the safest shore to return to." That evening, as the stars shone above them, Mira closed her eyes and whispered, "I am the happiest mother in the world." Rowan smiled, knowing that no success, no riches, no achievement could ever match this moment, the moment he saw his mother truly happy. This story reminds us that no matter how far we go in life, no matter how much we achieve, the love of a mother is the most precious treasure. And when we give back even a small part of that love, the happiness it brings is beyond words. As the waves gently kissed the shore, Mira and Rowan sat in silence, their hearts full of love. The sound of the ocean was like a sweet lullaby, telling the story of time, love, and endless memories. After a while, Mira turned to Rowan and said, "My son, life has given me more than I ever asked for. But there's one thing I must tell you." Rowan looked at her, his eyes full of curiosity. "What is it, mother?" She sighed softly, looking at the vast ocean. "One day, I will not be here with you. Life is like the waves, they come and go. But I want you to promise me something." Rowan's heart ached at her words. He held her hand tightly. "Mother, please don't say that. I cannot imagine a life without you." Mira smiled, her eyes filled with wisdom. "That is the truth of life, my son. But listen to me. I want you to promise me that no matter what happens, you will always stay kind, you will always help others, and you will always carry love in your heart." Rowan's eyes filled with tears. "I promise, mother. I will live with kindness, just as you taught me. I will make you proud." Mira touched his face gently. "You already have, my child, more than you will ever know." They sat there until the sky turned dark, watching the stars twinkle like little lanterns in the sky. The wind whispered old stories, and the waves continued their song. The next morning, they returned to their village, their hearts full of love and memories. Days turned into months, and months into years. Rowan continued to grow, not just in age, but in wisdom. He became a man known for his kindness, his honesty, and his deep love for his mother. But time, like the waves, never stops. Mira grew older, and her steps became slower. One evening, as the sun painted the sky in golden hues, Mira sat in the garden, looking at the flowers she had planted years ago. Rowan sat beside her, holding her hand. "Mother, do you remember the day you told me about the ocean?" Mira smiled. "Yes, my son. It was the most beautiful day of my life." Rowan kissed her hand gently. "Every moment with you is the most beautiful day of my life." Mira's eyes filled with tears, but they were tears of joy. "My son, my journey is coming to an end, but I am not afraid, because I know you will carry my love in your heart forever." Rowan's heart ached, but he knew he had to be strong. He hugged his mother tightly. "You will always be with me, Mother. In my heart, in my kindness, in everything I do." That night, Mira closed her eyes for the last time, with a peaceful smile on her face. She had lived a life full of love, and she left knowing that her son would continue spreading that love in the world. Rowan sat beside her, holding her hand, his heart heavy but full of gratitude. He looked up at the sky and whispered, "I promise, Mother, I will live with love, and I will make the world a better place, just as you taught me." Years passed, and Rowan kept his promise. He helped the poor, he cared for the sick, and he became a guiding light for many. People respected him, not for his success, but for his heart. One day, as he walked by the ocean, he smiled at the waves. They reminded him of his mother, endless, strong, and full of love. He sat on the shore and whispered, "Mother, can you see me? I have kept my promise." And in that moment, as the wind gently touched his face, he felt her presence, her warmth, and her love, forever with him. This story reminds us that love never truly leaves us. A mother's love is like the ocean, endless, deep, and always there, even when we can't see it. If we carry kindness in our hearts, we can make the world a more beautiful place, just like Rowan did. Years passed, but Rowan never forgot his mother's words. He lived with kindness, helping everyone he could. He built a small school in his village, where poor children could study for free. He helped old people, fed the hungry, and became a light of hope for many. People in the village started calling him the Son of Love. One day, an old woman came to him, holding the hand of a little girl. She had tears in her eyes. "Rowan, my son, I have no one in this world. My granddaughter is all I have, but I am too weak to take care of her. Will you help her?" Rowan looked at the little girl. She had big, innocent eyes, just like he had when he was young. He saw himself in her, and he thought of his mother. Without a second thought, he smiled and said, "She is my daughter now." The old woman cried with happiness, "May God bless you, my child." Rowan took care of the girl as if she were his own. He gave her food, clothes, and love. He told her stories about his mother, about kindness, and about the ocean. The little girl listened to every word, her heart filling with dreams. One day, she asked, "Uncle Rowan, will you take me to the ocean?" Rowan smiled, his heart remembering the promise he once made to his mother. He gently touched her head and said, "Yes, my dear. One day, I will take you there." Years passed, and the little girl grew into a smart and kind young woman. She studied hard and became a teacher in Rowan's school. She helped children just as Rowan once helped her. One morning, she came to Rowan and said, "Uncle, it's time. I want to see the ocean." Rowan, now older but still strong, held her hand and smiled. "Let's go, my child." Together, they traveled to the ocean, just as Rowan had once traveled with his mother. When they reached, the girl ran to the shore, her eyes wide with wonder. "It's so big, so endless." She laughed. Rowan stood beside her, looking at the waves. He closed his eyes and whispered, "Mother, I have kept my promise. I have lived with love." A soft wind touched his face, and for a moment, he felt his mother's warm hand on his shoulder. He opened his eyes and smiled. He knew she was watching over him, proud of the man he had become. As the sun set, painting the sky in golden colors, the girl held Rowan's hand and said, "Uncle, your mother would be so proud of you." Rowan smiled, his heart full of peace. "She is not just proud of me. She is proud of you too. Because love never ends, it keeps growing from one heart to another." And at that moment, standing by the vast ocean, he knew that his mother's love would live on forever, in every heart he touched. This story teaches us that love never dies. It passes from one heart to another, growing like a beautiful tree. If we live with kindness, we can change lives, just like Rowan did. As the waves gently rolled onto the shore, Rowan and the young woman stood in silence, feeling the vastness of the ocean before them. The sky turned golden, then pink, then a deep blue as the stars began to appear one by one, twinkling like tiny lanterns in the sky. Rowan took a deep breath, feeling the cool breeze on his face. He closed his eyes for a moment, and in the quiet of his heart, he whispered, "Mother, your love lives on. It is in me, in her, and in all the kindness we share with the world." The young woman looked at him and asked softly, "Uncle, do you ever feel lonely?" Rowan smiled gently. "No, my child. Love never leaves us. My mother is not gone, she is here. In every good thing I do, in every smile I bring to others. As long as we carry love in our hearts, we are never alone." Tears filled the young woman's eyes, but they were not tears of sadness, they were tears of understanding. She had lost her own parents when she was very young, but Rowan had raised her with love, just as his mother had raised him. She took his hand in hers and said, "Then I will do the same. Uncle, I will carry your love forward. I will help others, just like you helped me." Rowan looked at her, pride shining in his eyes. That is how love grows, my dear. It is like this ocean, it keeps flowing, touching new shores, bringing life wherever it goes. They stood there for a long time, watching the waves, listening to the whispers of the wind. Years passed. Rowan continued his work, helping people, spreading love, and changing lives. His school grew bigger. More children came to learn, and many people in the village followed his example. But time, like the river, never stops flowing. Rowan grew older. His hair turned silver, and his steps became slower. Yet, his heart remained full of love, as strong as ever. One day, as he sat under the big banyan tree in the village, surrounded by children, the young woman, now a grown lady, came to him with a bright smile. "Uncle, I have something to tell you," she said, sitting beside him. Rowan looked at her warmly. "Tell me, my child." She held his hand and said, "I have started another school in a nearby village. Now, more children will get to learn, just like I did." Rowan's eyes filled with tears of joy, of pride, of love. He gently touched her head and whispered, "You have made me the happiest man today. My mother's love has not only lived in me, but it has now found a new home in you." The young woman smiled. "I am only following your footsteps, Uncle, just like you once kept your promise to your mother. I am keeping my promise to you." Rowan nodded, his heart at peace. He looked up at the sky, where the sun was setting, painting the world in golden light. "Mother," he whispered, "your love has become an endless river. It will never stop flowing." That evening, as the stars shone above, Rowan closed his eyes with a smile. He had lived his life with love, and now that love would continue through the people he had touched. Love never ends. Even after Rowan was gone, his kindness, his lessons, and his love lived on in the hearts of many. The young woman carried forward his dream, teaching children, helping the poor, and spreading kindness wherever she went. And so, the story of love continued, passed from one heart to another, like an endless wave in the ocean, because true love never dies, it lives forever in the hearts of those who share it. If this story touched your heart, please like and subscribe. Let's spread love, kindness, and hope together.